wait, they're what? Captain Zarn of the Slarbian Trade Coalition couldn't believe what he was seeing. His three eye stalks all pointed in different directions, trying to process the chaos. The planet Earth had just been granted trade status with the Galactic Union, and within days, the first official human interstellar marketplace had opened. Not a trade embassy, not a cultural exchange center. It was a dealership. A used spaceship dealership, floating proudly in low orbit above the moon. The colossal neon sign flickered like it was sweating desperation. Humanity's honest hyperdrives, prices out of this world! There were balloons. There were inflatable tube men. There was a jingle that repeated every 42 seconds and made three species file diplomatic noise complaints. And in the middle of it all stood Larry. A middle-aged man with a receding hairline, sunglasses he wore indoors, and a voice that could melt metal, not from charm, but from sheer volume. "Come on down, galactic neighbors," Larry bellowed into a microphone that wasn't connected to anything. "You want a cruiser? I got cruisers. You want a stealth bomber with only 2 previous owners? Boom. Done. You want a mystery box? That's our clearance section." No one knew who gave Larry diplomatic credentials. Some said he printed them himself at a FedEx. Others whispered that he won them in a card game with an Andromedan diplomat. Either way, Earth hadn't sent a carefully trained ambassador. They had sent Larry. To the humans, this was normal. Logical, even. Earth's economy had been built on the art of selling things no one needed to people who didn't want them, at a price they couldn't afford. Why should the galaxy be any different? But to species like the Slarbians, whose trade rituals included mind melds and 6-hour songs of intent, the idea of sales tactics was horrifying. You didn't haggle over a quantum destabilizing reactor core. You presented a thesis on its value and negotiated through interpretive dance. Larry didn't dance. He slapped the hood of a refurbished battlecruiser and said, "This baby's got firepower for days and only screams when you turn left. She's got character." Captain Zarn floated toward the sales lot, his organic translator blinking in distress. He tried to keep his dignity, but it was hard when a blow-up gorilla was spinning behind him, wearing a sign that read, "Free laser turkeys with purchase." "Excuse me," Zarn said politely. "Are these vessels properly licensed for Galactic Combat Protocol?" Larry grinned like he'd just caught a fish with a mortgage. "Licensed? Pal, these ships don't just follow the rules, they break them and leave a thank you note." Zarn blinked, slowly. His third eye tried to close itself in protest. "These are decommissioned, yes?" Larry nodded. Sure. Some of them even voluntarily retired. This one over here, used in the Battle of Europa Ridge, still has some of the original scorch marks. Collector's item." A lizard being beside gasped with reverence. "A warrior's scar," it whispered. Larry winked. "Exactly. You get it. That's called authenticity." At that moment, an alarm blared from one of the ships. Not a security alarm. No, it was playing Sweet Home Alabama at full volume while belching blue smoke. A robot wheeled out from underneath, wheezing, "Please, let me die," before collapsing. Larry didn't miss a beat. "Now that's a feature," he shouted. "Built-in entertainment system. No charge." Zarn turned to his diplomatic aide, a floating jelly mass named Plurks. "Is this normal human behavior?" Plurks quivered. "There is no baseline for human behavior, Captain." The Slarbian war delegation had been sent to Earth for military procurement. They expected a factory, a science facility, a fortress. They got Larry's lunar lot. There was something both terrifying and oddly charming about it. The humans had no grand strategy, no psychic manipulation, no secret tech, just chaos. Unfiltered, weaponized enthusiasm. One by one, representatives from other galactic species began arriving. Some came out of curiosity, some came to laugh, and some came to buy. Because beneath the madness, a truth lingered. These ships were cheap. They worked, mostly. And humans had a way of talking that made you feel like you were missing out on something epic if you didn't say yes. Plurks tried to warn Zarn. "Captain, this is a trap made of optimism." But Zarn was already aboard a cruiser named the Widowmaker 3000, now with cup holders. A signature was made, a purchase completed. Larry handed over the keycard with the grin of a man who just sold a screen door to a submarine. "Welcome to the family," he said, clapping Zarn on the back. "You're gonna love Tuesdays." Zarn had no idea what that meant. He wouldn't understand until it was far, far too late. And somewhere, floating above the moon, Earth's first interstellar jingle played once more. Come on down to Larry's lot, where dreams go fast and breaks go not. The galaxy would never be the same. The first sign that something had gone terribly wrong came exactly 12 minutes into the Slarbian fleet's maiden voyage with their newly acquired human-certified warships. It wasn't the blinking lights. It wasn't the unexpected salsa music playing over the command bridge's intercom. It was the moment the lead ship, the Widowmaker 3000, now with cup holders, tried to engage its shields and activated the massage seats instead. Captain Zarn sat frozen in the captain's chair as his spine was violently kneaded by what the ship referred to as a Swedish combat relaxation mode. He tried to issue a command, but the control panel insisted on recalculating his personal lumbar profile. Meanwhile, the Slarbian admiralship, flagship of the fleet, had engaged what it thought was cloaking mode, only to accidentally trigger its karaoke AI. A smooth, sultry voice echoed across all channels. Now playing? Boogie with Me Through the Nebula in Hard Vacuum Remix. No one knew how to turn it off. The Cruxians, the Slarbians' longtime rival species, had intercepted the fleet's movements and prepared for combat. What they didn't prepare for was being serenaded by what sounded like a drunk saxophone solo, followed by a voice yelling, "Woo! Drop that bass!" before the Slarbian flagship spun uncontrollably into a wormhole. Backwards. Plurks, still pulsing nervously in his containment orb, attempted a systems diagnostic. It appears the main reactor is playing solitaire? Zarn clenched two of his three fists. Where are the weapons systems? A pause. Then on screen. Weapons, unavailable. Please upgrade to Pro Package to unlock plasma cannons. The bridge went silent. We were sold a freemium warship? Zarn hissed. Yes, Captain, Plurks replied, shrinking slightly. And I believe the torpedoes are ad-supported. Just then, the targeting system came online, but instead of locking onto the enemy, it projected a full-color commercial across the view screen. Tired of losing interstellar dogfights? Try Starguns. For when second place isn't an option, use promo code EarthRules for 10% off your first barrage. The crew watched in stunned horror as a holographic Earthling gave a thumbs up and high-fived a flaming missile. Zarn's eye stalks twitched violently. They sold us demo ships. Across the fleet, similar disasters unfolded. One cruiser's navigation system insisted it was on a personal growth journey and refused to follow orders. Another attempted evasive maneuvers and instead started baking a meatloaf using its emergency core heat vents. One frigate opened all its airlocks mid-maneuver and announced, "Spring cleaning complete." And yet, the worst was yet to come. On the fourth day of deployment, the Slarbian fleet attempted to regroup near the asteroid belt of Yenth 4. They needed repairs, reorganization, and frankly, therapy. But as the captains connected via FleetNet, a strange message pinged across their dashboards. A reminder. From Larry. Hey there, space champs. Hope you're enjoying your premium vessels. Just wanted to let you know your trial period is almost over. To avoid ship-wide shutdowns, please upgrade to the full version for only 12,990,999.99 Galactic credits per month. That's a deal and a half. Stay cosmic. Larry. Plurks read it aloud, slowly, as if by changing the tempo it might make more sense. It didn't. Zarn stood up, at least tried to. The massage chair refused to release him, demanding he complete his relaxation cycle. He began shouting, flailing like a panicked octopus in a blender, while the rest of the crew tried frantically to override the seat's yoga mode. The Cruxians, watching this all unfold via long-range visual sensors, came to a conclusion that would reshape their foreign policy for generations. The humans were not technologically superior. They were not master tacticians. They were something far worse. They were completely unpredictably insane. And somehow, it worked. The Cruxians turned their fleet around and fled. Not out of fear of destruction, but because they couldn't mentally process an opponent who advertised during battle. On board the Widowmaker, Zarn finally freed himself from the chair just in time to hear the auto announcement. Thank you for trying Earthfleet. Your trial has now ended. All offensive systems are being deactivated. Please enjoy our in-ship meditation program while we downgrade you to observation mode. Plurks whispered, Captain, we're now? a sightseeing cruise. Zarn stared out the viewport, eyes full of betrayal, jaw clenched, dignity in tatters. From the comms, Larry's voice echoed once more. Don't forget to leave a review. Something inside Zarn broke. Not the usual kind of break. Not fury. Not rage. Something deeper. The kind of break that comes when you realize you've been conquered. Not by weapons, but by terms and conditions you forgot to read. And somewhere, floating silently above Earth, that cursed jingle played again. Larry's lot, we sell ships. You regret trips. Galactic fraud levels would spike 800% within the week. And Larry? Larry had just opened a second location. Back at the Galactic Council chambers, the air was heavy with something rare. Panic. Ambassadors from 37 star systems sat in a half circle of floating chairs, tentacles twitching, antennae shivering, translation orbs overheating. Holographic reports hovered over the central dais, and each one brought a new layer of existential dread. Someone had to say it. And unfortunately, that someone was Ambassador Grint of the Florpex Dominion, whose species looked like a walking cactus in a bathrobe and spoke exclusively in philosophical riddles. He cleared his throat, spikes rustling, and said, "It appears humanity has done the unthinkable." A silence followed, broken only by the sound of an exhausted Girth ambassador slowly sobbing into her fourth bowl of jet fungus stew. "They've weaponized incompetence," Grint said flatly. Every head turned toward the center projection. Live footage from the Slarbian fleet. Ships spinning uncontrollably. Missile systems auto-locking onto friendly vessels. Emergency broadcasts that included coupons. And worst of all, customer satisfaction surveys popping up mid-combat. One window displayed a Cruxian warlord's report, dated 24 hours prior. It contained exactly 3 words: "We're not ready." Another file autoplayed a voice message from Admiral Zarn himself. No greeting, no formality, just pure despair. "The chair, it won't let me leave. Also, our torpedoes are filled with party confetti. Please advise." There was a pause. Then quietly, a whisper. "I think they've beaten us. Accidentally." The council chamber erupted. A Bloopian representative tried to swallow his own translator in horror. A Mectral diplomat short-circuited from emotional overload and began reciting Earth jingles. One ambassador fainted when reminded the humans were already negotiating a trade agreement with the Grolnax Empire for ballpoint pens and something called ranch dressing. Finally, Supreme Speaker Verkath of the United Mind Clusters slammed her gelatinous appendage on the emergency beacon. "What are these humans?" she demanded, her voice echoing across the dome. "They lack strategy. They reject logic. They have no council structure, no psychic safeguards. They literally gave an intergalactic arms contract to a man named Larry." A trembling aide hovered beside her and whispered, "Ma'am, there's more." No one wanted to hear the next part, but they had to. The footage changed again. This time it showed what Earth had uploaded to the Galactic Net without even realizing it. Advertisements. Thousands of them. Targeted ads, now flooding every species' news feeds, showing Earthlings grinning as they posed next to barely functional ships with names like Space Thing 5000 and USS Tax Write-Off. One commercial featured a man with too many teeth saying, "Our ships may be duct taped together, but at least they come with a complimentary bumper sticker." The effect was immediate. Gullible empires began ordering. The Trixili High Nest purchased a fleet after watching one video of a human doing donuts in orbit while holding a corgi. The Ort collectives declared Earth a cultural treasure and sent a cargo ship full of diamonds in exchange for a retired space RV named Debbie. The markets didn't collapse, they melted. Every species had a different reaction, but they all came to the same realization at once. They had underestimated humanity in the worst way possible. Not as warriors, not as engineers, but as unapologetic lunatics with sales funnels. Counselor Dran of the Telvari Hive, known for his emotionless logic, stood up slowly and whispered, "We've triggered an extinction event of reason." Someone screamed, someone else tried to jump out a zero-gravity window, and just when the chaos reached peak absurdity, a notification chimed. Loud, cheerful, and undeniably human. A live transmission from Earth. The screen blinked. A loading bar spun. Then, Larry, on camera, wearing a gold blazer, holding a coffee mug shaped like a spaceship. "Hey, folks," he shouted, way too enthusiastic. "Just wanted to thank y'all for the interstellar support. We're now franchising." "That's right. Larry's Lot, Alpha Centauri opens next week. Come for the cruisers, stay for the chili dogs." He paused, looked off screen, then laughed. "Oh, and big shout out to the Galactic Council. Your deposit cleared? We'll throw in a free shuttle. No questions asked." Then he winked. The transmission ended. Silence returned. But it was different now. Not stunned, but haunted. Speaker Verkath slowly turned to the council. "They think this is normal." She said it with genuine awe. Not fear, not anger, wonder. They think this is just how the universe works. No one argued, because they all knew, deep down, in their cores, their spines, their circuits. It was too late. Humanity wasn't invading. They weren't even trying. They were just being themselves, and that was infinitely worse. The invasion was called off at 0347 Standard Galactic Time. Not because of a peace treaty, not because of military defeat, but because Admiral Zarn accidentally butt-dialed the Cruxian Supreme Commander. The two had been bitter enemies for decades. They'd fought across moons, traded fire and nebulae, and once argued for 12 hours straight over the correct orientation of a plasma lance handshake. And now, in what would have been the final push, the showdown of the millennium, the call connected just as Zarn was trying to sit down on a defective folding chair that came free with his last Earth ship purchase. What the Supreme Commander heard was not a war declaration. He heard grunting, a loud crunch, Zarn yelling, "Why is the chair biting me again?" And the unmistakable sound of an Earth jingle playing in the background. "Larry's Lot, our ships go boom, but the price goes vroom." The line went silent. Then, the Cruxian Supreme Commander hung up. 15 minutes later, their fleet turned around, not retreated, resigned. Across the galaxy, similar events played out in tragic, absurd harmony. The Trixili Nest dissolved its invasion council after their prized battleship, the Feathered Wrath, exploded on takeoff because its fuel had been replaced with barbecue sauce. The Mectral Swarm voluntarily deleted its war AI after it began exclusively answering questions in human dad jokes. And the Girth just stopped. They didn't even issue a statement. They just quietly started planting space turnips and pretending the last 6 weeks never happened. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Larry was barbecuing. Not metaphorically. Actually barbecuing. Wearing an apron that read, "Kiss the Salesman." He flipped synthetic hot dogs while negotiating a multi-trillion credit licensing deal over the phone. "Uh-huh. Right. Sure, your fleet collapsed, but did you fill out the rebate form?" He paused. "No? Well, that's your mistake, buddy. Gotta read the fine print. It's not war crimes if it's in italics." Behind him, a new banner was being raised over the lunar lot. "Now shipping to black holes, no questions asked." Larry turned, squinted at it, then grinned. "Beautiful," he whispered. Just beautiful. Elsewhere, deep in a bunker on Glarnak 7, a secret council of the galaxy's most paranoid strategists had gathered. Some were disguised. Some were AI. One was literally just a very angry lamp. But all of them agreed on one thing. Humans could not be allowed to continue unchecked. "They are chaos incarnate," whispered the lamp, humming with static. "They have no structure," growled the cloaked Grolnax agent. "No command chain. No plan. They don't need one," said another voice. "They have Larry." The room shuddered. The name had become more than a person. It was a symbol, a warning, a cosmic joke with a punchline that hit like a freight train full of glitter and unpaid bills. Someone tried to suggest assassination, but another raised a datapad. It showed footage of the last being who tried. He was now Larry's regional manager. He wore a Hawaiian shirt, he smiled, and he seemed genuinely happy. The council disbanded. No one wanted to end up in retail. Back on the moon, Larry lit another sparkler and waved it over his head like a victorious child on fireworks day. A ship landed nearby, sleek, golden, obviously expensive. A Nervon diplomat stepped out, flanked by guards, blinking under the glare of neon signs. Larry walked over, hand extended, energy drink in the other. The diplomat opened his mouth to speak, but Larry was faster. "You're here for the Fleet Frenzy deal, right? Comes with a free plushie and zero accountability. What size massacre you looking to start?" The diplomat blinked. Once, twice, then slowly reached for a datapad and said quietly, 2 cruisers with cup holders. Larry slapped his back like they were old college roommates. You, my friend, just made the worst decision of your life. Welcome to Earth. And as the galaxy looked on, some laughing, some crying, some quietly rewriting their species' exit strategy, humanity continued to do what it did best. Sell nonsense with confidence. No superweapons, no mind control, no divine prophecy, just duct tape, vibes, and one man named Larry. The Council eventually passed a new law, the Earth Clause. In the event of Terran involvement in any interstellar agreement, all parties must triple-check that they are not under any circumstances agreeing to anything signed by a man wearing sandals and offering free stickers. It didn't help, because by then, Larry had franchised to 5 more galaxies, and every single one had already signed.